Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Jared Lee, and I'm joined as usual by my lovely wife, Jamie Lee. So, Jamie, how you doing?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. It has been I wouldn't call it hurricane prep, but it's like tropical storm prep, which really didn't do much. It just rained a lot.
I mean, where we are,
Yeah.
we weren't going to get a hurricane. It was definitely going to be just a lot of rain, a lot of wind, and that's pretty much what we got. So,
Yeah, I feel like I'm like officially now like a Floridian. Like obviously lived in the Missouri, the Midwest our entire life, which we went and saw Twisters, by the way.
we did see twisters.
And very much I was like, yeah, this is about right. Like just tornadoes constantly. But funny enough, I actually really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was pretty good for what it was. Very simple. But
I love the first one, so it had a lot to live up to.
Can't wait for the sequel. Hurricanes.
Hurricanes.
Just canes. They're just out on boats chasing hurricanes.
Oh gosh, that's terrible. That is the worst idea.
They don't really pop up randomly.
No.
But yeah, so it's funny when I saw that. And then, but like having been like, we've been through a couple of hurricanes now. Like if it's not a Cat 3, which I've heard people say that, they're like, oh, whatever, it's not a Cat 3. I kind of am like that now because my mom was calling my brother like, everything good down there? I'm like, it's not. I think it may have been a Cat 1 when it came in, which I mean, those things. I think there were some tornadoes up in Jacksonville. Like it can do some damage. I'm not saying it can't, but
Oh yeah, it can.
it's gotten to the point where I don't know. Like at least for me, where I'm like, what is it? It's a Cat 2. Oh, whatever. Like I just don't really worry about it. But obviously, if it's above a Cat 3, the people down here, that's when Publix is not looted, but it's just gone. Everything's
Right.
gone, and you get ready. But yeah, as of right now, like
Yeah.
everything was. It rained a lot. Our daughter did the most kid thing ever, and her friends for the last 2 days like played in the rain for like hours on end.
Well, it rained all day on
but
Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
I think about it as an adult, like I don't want to be wet, and they just had no. I was just like, to be a kid, just play in the
to be a
rain
kid.
and just
So fun.
I was like, do you want like your rain boots? Like, no. Okay.
Cool.
So hurricane time for her or whatever was a good time. So
But in Disney, yes, it was still raining and windy, but I was so excited. The pumpkins are up.
they are, yeah.
It's spooky season officially at Magic Kingdom. I don't think they put it up anywhere else, like other parks and stuff. But it's the first Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party is on Friday, so
Nothing
They
says
have to prep
Halloween
it.
like August 1st or August 5th. I guess they waited a couple of days into August, but that is the weird thing about doing this show now. It's like the seasons, I feel like, well, that and like when you run an apparel thing, it's like you have to get ready for you get ready for Christmas about this time of year. Like it's just strange
Yeah.
how much early you get ready for
oh
certain
yeah,
times
we'll
of
have
the
to
year.
prep Christmas by September.
Yeah,
to
it's
get
just
it.
it's
Yeah.
kind of wild with that, but
Yeah.
Well, you can get ready to pull out. You bought a Disney Halloween thing at Costco a couple months ago.
I did. So they have different. Okay, so like there's the Disney iteration of the Mickey pumpkin, like Mickey head pumpkin. There's a mini one. There's a Mickey one. There's also one at Pottery Barn you can get. And now Costco has one. I think they've had one for this year and last year. I don't know if it's been before that, but it is huge. I mean, it's bigger than the other ones. And we got it a month ago,
Oh,
2
longer
months
than
ago.
that. It
It's
was
been
like,
a while.
I think it was June technically.
Was it?
Yeah.
And it sold out of our store like fast. But it's just been sitting in our closet, just chilling. I'm like, hey, it's almost time. It's almost time.
It's almost time where you can be
It's almost
utilized.
time. Yeah.
But yes, it is. I mean, I am ready for fall. It's not
Yeah.
technically fall yet, and it won't be weather-wise in Florida for another like 3 months. But I'm there.
I'm there.
So
I'm there too. Yeah.
But yeah. So we're not going to talk about hurricanes and fall as much as I don't really talk about hurricanes, but fall. I like fall. We can talk about that, but we're not going to talk about it today. We have some news to talk about, including the earnings report that came out, and we'll talk about a little bit about that, as there were some things that pertain to the parks specifically that were discussed. And we're also going to talk about, with D23 being this weekend, we're going to talk about what we look at maybe announced, what we hope is announced. And maybe, I don't know. I don't really like predictions, but I guess we could go into a little bit of predictions.
I don't want predictions as much as just like what we hope. Like I'm not going to predict anything, because anytime we've ever predicted something, like I feel like we've been like let down.
Well, I think
You know
what
what I mean?
happens is you do what the weathermen do down here, and you make predictions, and then you just don't look back. You just like never, like no, like that's the thing with the weather. They never go, hey, Rick, with the weather, by the way, you were wrong last week. They just be like, Rick, yet again, what's it going to be like? And he just keeps going. So
Yeah.
I think we should do the same thing. We just keep going.
Do the
Anyway.
meteorologist.
I
thing.
agree, though. I'm not really big on predictions because it's not like we have any inside sources. So it's like, it's just speculations. But we're going
Right.
to talk about what we're likely and what Disney's hinted at. They have hinted, and there's some permit filings that give us an idea of probably some things that we will see announced. But that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do that, just want to remind everybody, if you're watching us over on YouTube, or if you're not, you should be, you can check us out over on YouTube at CTM Podcast, where we have video versions of the show. We have show clips, and you can leave comments and all sorts of things over there. So if you're not, go join over there, subscribe to the channel, and like this video if you would not mind. And if you're listening on just good old trusty podcast form, just good old audio form, you're just like, I like to keep it old school and do
Right.
it. Jamie always gives me a look during this part.
Good old trusty podcast.
It's been
Gets me
around for like
every
20
time.
years at this point. It is literally the good old trusty way to do it. I mean, when we're talking about, technology wise, but whatever platform you're listening, whether that's Spotify, Apple, or whatever, just ask you, please subscribe to the channel and leave us a review. We would greatly appreciate that. And of course, if you want even more content, you want discounts on CTM Apparel and 1901 Candle Company products and more, you can look at joining Club 32, and that's our private group, kind of like our own Patreon, but we just host it on our own end. And in there, you can get more content, like we have a weekly live stream, Club 32 show every Tuesday, where we hang out and just chat with everybody. We have meetups. We have the Cool Kids Kitchen, which is a monthly live stream. We make a Disney or Universal-based dish. We have the Clubhouse, which is happening very soon. We've got some applications from some of the members in there, so we're going to be doing that show monthly, where members of the group become part of the show. So that's always a good time. We have music loops on a private podcast feed that also includes the additional content. 25% off of CTM Apparel and 1901 Candle Company products. In-park live streams, room tours, all sorts of things. We have a private Facebook group as well. So if you want to join there, you can go to ctmvip.com. We have monthly or yearly options, and you can even do a free trial if you want to do that as well. So again, ctmvip.com is where you go for that. And if you'd like to join, we would love to have you. So, all right, well, let's get into the news. And the biggest thing we're going to talk about is the earnings report. So you had the quarter 3 earnings report that was revealed yesterday. As when we're recording this, it was today. But when you're hearing this, it was yesterday. And as was kind of predicted, the domestic parks didn't do very well. And we kind of knew that. Comcast had their quarter 3 earnings report a few weeks ago, and they had reported that their domestic parks were about down 10 to 11%.
Yeah.
So we kind of assumed going forward that Disney would see something, similar here.
Yeah, so the experiences division, which is theme parks, cruise lines, and consumer products, was up 2% in revenue, but down 3% in operating income. Domestic parks specifically was down 6% compared to last year. This was due to higher costs driven by inflation, increased technology spending, and new guest offerings, and partially offset by the comparison to depreciation in the prior year quarter related to the closure of the Galactic Star Cruiser and cost-saving initiatives, and guest spending growth attributable to increases in per capita guest spending at our cruise line and theme parks, and higher per room spending at our resorts.
If you ever expect Disney just to say we were down a quarter, they won't. They're going to give you word salad on a level you've never seen, and they give you a bunch of... The other thing they used, the terminology was moderation in demand.
Moderation demand. That was just basically lower crowds.
That just means lower crowds, but they don't want to use the term lower crowds. So they'll say moderation, and people ask, certain things, but
moderation demand is what they said. Yeah.
That was I've never heard that term before, but they used it in this.
They did. So from Disney, it says at our experiences segment, we expect that the demand moderation, there it is, we saw in our domestic businesses in quarter 3 could impact the next few quarters. While we are actively monitoring attendance and guest spending and aggressively managing our cost base, we expect quarter 4 experiences segment operating income to decline by mid-single digits versus the prior year, reflecting these underlying dynamics as well as impacts at Disneyland Paris from a reduction in normal consumer travel due to the Olympics and some cyclical softening in China.
Okay, there's a couple of things in there that are interesting. First off, I don't understand how the Olympics affects Disneyland Paris.
So people aren't going as much because of the Olympics?
I mean,
think they would go more.
Right. You would assume if there's more travel for the Olympics that people would also travel to theme parks. So I don't know. I'm not going to claim to be a Paris travel expert. That part I thought was weird. But the thing in there that I thought was interesting was not only is this quarter down, but they're saying, quarters going forward. Basically, things are looking weaker going into 2025, which isn't unexpected. Which goes into, obviously, a lot of this is the economy. It would be dishonest to say otherwise. But I'm wondering, and I've had this theory, and I will find out less than a year if I'm right. Well, I guess maybe close to a year if I'm right on this. I really do think Epic Universe is driving not only, we figured Universal would see a downtick in their attendance given they have a brand new theme park opening in less than a year. Logic would say, especially with the economy being down, you want to get the most out of your money. If you're going to go on this trip to Universal, why not wait until a new park is open? I actually think this is also affecting Disney because I think, it's affecting all of Orlando. All of Orlando travels down. But I think there's a lot of people that are just waiting for Epic Universe, and this is also now affecting Disney as well because they're saying, we're just going to hold off on all trips until that is open. No way to prove that right now. It's just a theory I have, but I do think that is part of this that is going on. But we'll have to wait and see, once it opens and stuff.
And the CFO said that lower demand for their domestic theme parks is due to lower income consumers feeling financial stress and higher income consumers traveling internationally. So, okay. I mean, yes. I mean, it is expensive to go to the parks, and if you're coming from a lower tax bracket or whatever, yeah, you probably aren't going to be spending as much money on vacations. When the economy is not so great and money's tight, vacations have to go.
Especially whenever Disney has been making it increasingly more expensive to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the higher income consumers traveling internationally, I mean, maybe, but wouldn't they go to Disney World also?
Well, yeah, and not only that, I think he says international, but also cruise lines. I mean, people are cruising a lot more versus going to theme parks. But I think the other thing, and we've talked about this a little bit, is, Disney keeps going, more and more expensive. So going after that upper tier of customer. The thing is, when you're paying that much money for vacations and trips, there's also a certain level of service you're expecting at that price point. And we've heard a lot of people have talked about how people haven't been happy in terms of spending all this money and the service they're getting versus going overseas. And there's a lot of people talk about going overseas and spending as much or even less than they would have spent on a Disney vacation and going to Europe for 2 weeks or whatever. So I think when Disney going after this higher, this I guess you would just call it more affluent market, it's much more competitive for that money because there's a lot that money can go a lot more or just the same amount in other places. Like you can go world travel, you can go on these cruises, you can do other things, or you can go to a theme park. And I think that they'll never come out and say it. I wonder how much they're thinking of well, maybe we shouldn't have gone that aggressively on the high end because you're entering into a realm you've never tried to compete before. Because usually I think theme parks for the most part have been, middle class. Now they're trying to get into the upper class echelon of things. And not that upper class people didn't go, but at the same time, that's a whole other sphere of travel versus, I think, traditionally what Disney's been sort of competing with.
Yeah. And on the other hand, I do want to point this out, Disney did show a 29% increase in operating income compared to the same quarter in 2019. So this is pre-COVID. Attributing this to date-based tickets. Date-based tickets were a fairly new thing back then. Genie Plus since then.
I was going to say most of that is going to be Genie Plus.
The reservation system, mobile ordering, promotions and discounts, and annual pass holders. And they said, quote, "We are fortunate to have an incredible community of annual pass holders and Magic Key holders over in Disneyland, many of whom are our most loyal fans." Yeah. Yeah. Seeing as how your parks are not busy when there are big blockout dates for annual pass holders.
Yeah.
That right there should tell you something. That your parks, yes, there's a lot of people that come from out of town that are not pass holders that will be at your parks, but you need to treat your annual pass holders well. They keep you going.
Which I'm sure this coming little period they will because they kind of tend to lean on the annual pass holders whenever things are down. Now, out of all the things they listed, I don't see how the park reservation system has anything to do with revenue. I just don't. Mobile ordering, I don't see how that would spike revenue. I think the thing you're just looking at, it's Genie Plus / Lightning Lane. That's the main difference between 2019 and now is that system that was free is now being charged for, and that is a huge revenue maker for them.
Yeah, for sure. Something to keep in mind, though, when we're talking about into 2025, they're talking about fiscal 2025. So when they say the next couple of quarters, they mean halfway through fiscal year 2025.
Yeah.
Which would be, early spring. So that's what they're saying. the attendance records or the attendance and the operating income is going to be affected by that going into 2025 and a little bit farther. And who knows? I mean, it may go up from there once Epic Universe opens, and they're thinking people are going to go to Epic Universe and they'll also come to Disney. I don't know.
See, I
don't know.
If you listen to their wording, and again, Iger has reiterated that they're not worried about Epic Universe. I think they expect to see a bump from it. And I'm not saying that they won't see a bump, but I think what Disney's expecting is the same thing that happened back when the Wizarding World first opened for Universal. So if you remember back then, Universal saw about a 35% increase in their attendance. Disney also saw a bump, but that was also back, and Universal still, at this point, is traditionally been an add-on trip when it comes to, people go for Disney World and they add on a Universal trip. What Universal is trying to do, and I think what a lot of people may be doing, is that maybe flip-flopping, where people are coming down for Universal, for Epic Universe, and now there's 3 parks, it takes about 3 to 4 days to do all that, and they add on a Disney trip, which they would probably add on like Magic Kingdom. But the park that's going to get hit the most probably is Animal Kingdom.
I was going to mention that, yeah.
So I'm curious as to when we get an opening timeline for Epic Universe and we start seeing bookings, because Comcast is going to report bookings once that's the thing. What do Disney's bookings look like? I think that'll tell you a pretty decent picture about what that's looking like. And then from that point, I mean, even before then, I think Disney's probably going to run some pretty aggressive discounts to try. They're not going to have any. I mean, I think what they're going to use to combat or try and combat Epic Universe on some level is probably what they did back then as well, which is probably shows and parades. And we'll talk about more in D23 what they may do, but I think they'll do that, run aggressive discounts, assuming also we're going to get a bump. And so Disney could get a bump. I just don't think they're going to get a bump anywhere near what Universal will. But we'll obviously have to wait and see on that. But we'll have to wait and see how that shakes out on there. But I think that's their thinking in this is we don't have anything in the short term to combat this. We're going to get a bump from this too. In terms of how much they get, I guess it's just it's a little bit of a gamble, I think, on some level. But let's move on into, there's a foodie guide for Halloween treats at the hotels that was just released.
Yeah, I'm not going to go through many of these, just to say that I think all of the hotels have at least one little treat for Halloween. There is a cute, I think it's a taco, like a chicken adobe not blue taco, or it looks like Captain Hook. That's what it looks like. Is that what it is? I don't know. It's hard to tell. But they have this stuff like cupcakes, and they've got the cinnamon roll, Mickey cinnamon roll. They've got a Stitch vampire cake that you can get in Polynesian. They've got some Dole Whip treats. I was going to say they've got the ghoulish beignets back over at Scat Cat Club. And that's the cookies and cream.
Those are probably pretty good.
I heard they were good. I heard they're good. So maybe we'll have to stop over there and see. But yeah, just cookies and treats and all those stuff. There's not a lot of stuff that's new this year. There's a lot of returning favorites. But yeah, if you're at the hotels, you can find some spooky treats this season.
They'll scare you while you eat them.
They will scare you.
That's true. All right, the next bit of news we have, which this one isn't a long one, but the single rider line that was at Rise of the Resistance that was being tested is no more.
Yep. Cast members said they were obviously they're testing it to see how it worked. They do not know if it will be coming back permanently. Apparently the big complaint was it misses a huge part of the immersive part of the ride. Like you just basically skip to the place where they load you into the thing. So you miss like half of the stuff that's in the beginning, and I think some people didn't like that or what, I'm not sure. But
I think if you want to do that, I think as long as you're getting a warning and saying, hey, you're going to miss part of the, I guess you would just call it, not the ride itself, but the immersion aspect of it. I think that as long as people know about it, it's not a big deal.
Also, the weird thing is that it used areas that were backstage areas for cast members, and that was kind of interesting.
That is true, and
yeah.
But I suppose if this was a test, they could create something that sort of, you don't see that part going forward.
Definitely.
So it could have just been a test for it. I mean, I think if you can do single riders, I like the fact that those exist. Now, sometimes they're not really the most. It's not quick. It depends. Like Smuggler's Run is very hit and miss on that single rider line. So it kind of varies from ride to ride. But I mean, I think if you're willing to A, ride by yourself, and then B, willing to forego aspects of the queue to ride it quicker, I think most people would be okay with that.
Yeah. Again, you have to be aware of what you're going into. But yeah.
Yeah. All right, next story we have is extended evening hours are coming to Animal Kingdom in October.
Yeah. So far, we only have one date listed, which is October 11th. But this is what's funny. The hours are 6 to 8 p.m.
It's pretty late. It's pretty
That's
late.
real late.
I don't know if you want to be up that late.
That's still not late enough to really get the dark vibes in Pandora and to see all the cool stuff that happens there. Dang. Hollywood Studios also a part of extended evening hours beginning in September. And basically, these two parks will share the extended evening hours while Magic Kingdom has a bunch of the parties going on, basically.
So what are the current hours for the extended evening hours right now?
Oh, gosh. 9 or 10 to 11 or 12. Something like that. I mean, they're in like to 11, at least 11 or midnight.
It's pretty ballsy saying after hours from 6 to 8. I feel like this should be more of a like Golden Corral. Like
it didn't say late hours. It said evening hours.
I know those are evening. That's the early dinner crowd is who that's going for.
But again, these are happening on Mondays and Epcot, and then Wednesdays will be either Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom.
I don't imagine a lot of people are going to try and take advantage of this, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I mean, I probably would.
I mean, if you're already there, I think specifically to go over there, I don't think a lot of people would. 2 hours is just not a long time.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's how it's always been for extended evening hours.
Right, but typically being later, I don't know, being as early as that is. We'll see, but.
I can see more people taking advantage of it if you're, like, a child. Like, more children would do this versus, like, a 10 to midnight one.
Right. Well,
which means it might be busier.
It's possible.
I don't know.
It's hard to know. We can't look into the future yet, but we'll let it unfold in front of us.
Okay.
All right, and the last bit of news we have is there's an update to the availability of the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party tickets.
Yes, so the only 2 available dates in August are August 27th and 30th. And then September 13th is also sold out, as well as October 31st. So they are starting to sell out. So if you want your tickets, you better get them soon. So.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
There we go. All right. Well, I think that will do it for all the news that we have. But Jamie does have a poll time.
Poll time.
It's poll time. Tell us what you think. Every opinion counts. Come on and link. We're discussing it all. We're taking a stance. Poll time's the segment. Let's give it a chance.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Give it
Just give it a chance.
We're going to give this a chance.
All right.
The whole time this week, I asked the question, the weather is getting crazy. If there is severe inclement weather, like hurricanes, coming to Orlando during your vacation, what do you do? So 65% said, still go on vacation, but adjust my days as necessary and try to enjoy it. 12% said, I don't change anything. I'll go to Walt Disney World no matter what. Okay. 9% said, if flights aren't canceled, I'm going. 9% said, rebook my vacation immediately. And then 5% said other, and they made some comments about that. But I think most people, especially in this group, are just like, yeah, I'm still going to go. But I may not be able to do as many park days. May have to like leave the parks earlier than usual. But
well, typically when there's a storm coming in, I mean, those are the best times for like low crowds.
Absolutely.
Now, sometimes if the storm is bad enough, they didn't this time, but the parks will close if it's like a category 5 or something like that. Like they will close the theme parks. I think the biggest issue people have, I think a lot of people will still go, but it's the flights. If people are flying,
oh yeah,
they have to try and probably come in earlier than they want or later than they want. So, but I feel like most people, I mean, if you can get in, typically you can get, some lower crowds. Although the last time we did, it was like we went the day after. I think it was I forget the name of it. It was one of the bigger ones that came in a couple years ago. We were there the next day after the parks reopened, and it was busy. So it's not always the case, but a lot of times if the parks do stay open, they don't close down, you can experience a little lower waits because a lot of people will push their trips out or they'll change their travel plans.
Yeah, and a lot of people were like, I just don't plan my vacations around hurricane season. I'm like, fair. That's fair.
I mean, it's always a risk. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, so yeah, but most people, if you're planning a trip during the fall months when this is a possibility, then they're still going to go and they're still going to try and enjoy it. So, and Disney World's a pretty good place to be during a hurricane. If you go back and listen to, I want to say it was 2 years ago. Yeah, it was 2 years ago in October. We did an episode about our experience of staying at Cabana Bay during Hurricane. Oh, what was it?
That's the one I was thinking. I can't remember the name of it, but it was
starts
a
with an
big one.
Ida?
Maybe.
What's an
Ira?
Ira?
Ida?
Ira?
I don't know.
But we did a stay there and we kind of documented that. So anyway,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of locals will go stay at Disney or Universal. The buildings are built to withstand hurricanes, and
Yep.
a lot of times it could be a typical. And there's usually activities to do. Like we were at Cabana Bay, they had like characters for the kids to meet, and
yeah,
it was
really
almost
fun.
like a part. I mean, the thing about Florida is when there's a hurricane going on, it kind of just becomes a party atmosphere, which once you get used to it, you're like, oh, like a hurricane, just everyone just be like, oh yeah, let's all hang out and just chill, because a lot of people get off work because of it and stuff. So it's a different vibe, but yeah, it's not a bad place to ride out a hurricane.
Different vibes.
Indeed, but
yeah, so thank you everybody for participating in the poll this week. I will have a new poll next week.
and if you want to be a part of the next poll time, you can do that in a couple ways. You can go join the Capture the Magic Facebook community where Jamie posts those there, and also in the stories over on Instagram at Cap the Magic. So you can check them out, either one or both if you'd like. But
All right.
that can be part of the next one. So, all right, well, let's move on to the discussion part of the show, which is basically about D23. What is it if you're not aware of it? And what are some things that we think we might expect to hear? Not really predictions, but looking at the tea leaves.
I am not expecting all of this. I'm hoping for this.
I
That
guess-
is what I'm saying.
I'll let you go off of hope. I will
Okay.
go off of what I'll say what they should do and what I
Okay.
think they actually will do. I actually
Okay.
think they'll do quite a bit this time because they have a lot of pressure on them.
Okay. But I'm holding on to
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah. Well, the last two D23s have not been, I would say, giant hits, as the last two have been just blue sky. A lot of the fans were left very shortchanged, I think the feeling is. And on this one, given, Epic Universe opening very soon, there's a lot of pressure and a lot of people are demanding. And Disney basically has come out and said, without really saying, like, we're going to announce a lot of stuff. They've talked about the $17 billion investment that they're going to do. So there's a lot of things I think they're going to announce for sure. So I don't think this one's going to be another blue sky event. So
Well, we need to talk about what this event is first.
yeah, what is it, Jamie?
Okay, so this is the ultimate Disney fan event occurring mostly at the Anaheim Convention Center from August 9th to 11th this year. This is a celebration of all things Disney, where you'll see and hear from Disney Imagineers, celebrities, higher-ups within the company, creators, and more. You have cosplay, photo ops, exclusive merchandise, one-of-a-kind displays. It is like the place to be if you're a giant Disney fan or you're waiting to hear some news of what's coming out. Basically, like what's coming up. What do we love? What's this?
True.
But tickets to the event have been sold out for a while, but you can see the schedule of panels and the events on d23.com.
I will say there's been a little bit of I don't know if it's a controversy on the ticket side. So people that have tickets, I mean, some of these tickets are very expensive to go to this.
Yeah.
And Disney implemented the virtual queue system for a lot of this stuff, and a lot of people aren't getting hardly any of the panels or anything they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really been strange too. I saw like Jim Hill, who's been covering Disney stuff for a decade or more.
Yeah, I saw this.
He got denied a media pass. So did a couple of other people. So
Mm-hmm.
it's, I mean, and both the people that I saw, I can't remember the other person. They basically said, hey, it's Disney's right to do that.
Right.
But they weren't getting clear answers on if they, they were going to pay and go themselves. But like, were they going to be able to get into certain like panels and stuff like that? So
right.
you would think they would allow more people in, given they're doing it this year at the Toyota Center.
Honda.
Yeah, which is a bigger venue.
Yeah.
So,
Well, this one specifically. Yeah.
yeah.
what
Well,
we're gonna talk about.
the panel is there, but yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so that, I would say if you're going to go or plan on going, it's not a guarantee you're going to be able to get into all these panels, but just keep that in mind. But
Yeah.
that's what this is. Look at it as basically, when it comes to the theme park side, like the Apple events that they do to announce a new iPhone. It's kind of like that. They go up there and they announce new things that are be coming to the parks.
It's Comic-Con. It's Disney Comic-Con.
But yeah, basically. I think they
Yeah,
all
it
got
is.
that idea from. I think did Apple kind of start doing that? I don't feel like Comic-Con even did those presentations before Apple kind of. I feel like it was Apple that started that, where Steve
Let's
Jobs would
see.
come out and basically say, "Here's our new thing," and then I think everybody else copied it from there. But I could be wrong. I don't know if Comic-Con
mean,
did it first.
It
but
was like mid 2000s when they started doing that.
I know, and the iPhone came out around that time, so it's hard to know.
iPhone 2006.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
wanna say.
I don't know which one was the first one to do it, but
But anyway,
yeah. So there's lots of panels, but the one that we'll focus on for this show is the one that's going to be for the parks, and this panel is going to be 10 p.m. Eastern time. That's late.
7 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, that's late. And this is the Disney Showcases. The Disney Experiences Showcase. That's called Horizons.
Horizons.
So they're giving they're alluding to many things on the horizons with this. But what's the description for this, Jamie?
So it says, join us on Saturday, August 10th at 7 p.m. at the Honda Center for an immersive celebration of Disney experiences around the world. Accompanied by a special lineup of musical numbers, surprise appearances, and a few familiar faces, Disney Experiences Chairman Josh Giamaro will host this exciting showcase woven together by the theme of music. Throughout the show, fans can expect updates on new and highly anticipated projects across Disney experiences, along with new ways for generations of fans to connect with their favorite Disney stories.
So what's interesting is this is not going to be live streamed by Disney.
Which is interesting because they have done that in the last couple events. They've live streamed the parks announcements.
I mean, you would think with the anticipation that a lot of people are anticipating a lot of announcements that they would want that live streamed.
Right.
Now, the only thing I can think of is maybe they have said there's going to be a lot of music involved. Maybe it's something to do with copyright stuff with the music. I don't really know. But whoever is going to be in this hall and live streaming it, which I'm sure many people will with their phones, they're probably going to have a massive amount of people watching them. So, I'm sure the news will get out rather quickly, whatever they do announce, but it was weird that Disney's not going to be live streaming it themselves. At least as of right now. I guess they could change that, but
right.
So, like we said, Josh Giamaro he's kind of the one that gets up there and does all this stuff. Like it gives he's the Steve Jobs of this presentation. He gets up there and shows you everything you're going to do. So, all right, we're going to go into some of this stuff is what we hope to hear. Some of this stuff is what I think is likely that we're going to hear about, but we'll start with Magic Kingdom. And the first one, I suppose, the biggest one would be Beyond Big Thunder.
Yes.
Now, this has all been, did they actually say they were, this was a blue sky. They didn't confirm this is what they were going to do in the last D23, correct?
Right. So, they teased this hardcore in 2022 at the Destination D23 event.
Yeah.
This is the expansion. Well, you know more about this than I do. So what expansion area are they talking about?
Well, this would be behind, Beyond Big Thunder, behind all of that. That is the, anticipated thing they would do. Now, there are permits that have been filed, so this is one of those that I think is happening.
Yeah, and this is the area, behind where, the railroad goes, behind Rivers of America. So there's a whole bunch of green space back there. There's also some backstage area as well. So, but there is a lot of space to work with.
There is, and there's a lot of rumors as to what this could entail. I don't know if they'll announce this. I think the thing that would be the biggest hit out of anything they can announce at D23 that I think is likely is that and the rumor was about this was there was going to be a Villain's Land in part of this Beyond Big Thunder Mountain. If they announce a Villain's Land, I think that would be the thing that most people would be the most excited for.
I agree.
And if they pulled it off and they did it right, I think it would be a really big hit and a really big draw for Magic Kingdom specifically. Now, obviously, it goes into how do they set it up? A lot of people say, Maleficent's castle, however they do it. But there was a rumor for a long time that they're going to do an entire Villain's theme park, and I never thought an entire Villain's theme park worked. But I think a villain-based land works really well, and you could theoretically make it sort of connected to Fantasyland as well if you look at an overall map of it.
You could make it work.
Yeah. So that's a rumor. I don't know. Now, I think Beyond Big Thunder is happening. I just don't know if the villains aspect of it is going to be in there because apparently this is going to be in phases, phase 1, phase 2, whatever. So the other rumor would be also that attached to basically to Big Thunder would be Cars Land.
Yeah,
we talked about that. I actually think it's almost likely because Disney likes to do this. They like to take stuff in existing parks because I think what they're probably going to do is we've talked about before, phase out Frontierland to make that more New Orleans with Tiana's right there, but make Big Thunder Mountain part of almost this desert scape area where you would have cars.
So you think they're going to do that? I think they're going to retheme Frontierland and change Pico Spills and all that stuff?
Now, if that's happening this D23, I don't know. I think that is what they will do, which the timing of this would make sense that they would go ahead and announce that. But I'm not, I will put it this way. I'm not going to say they are doing it. I just won't be surprised. Because I felt all along, they already got rid of the Frontier Shooting Gallery. We've heard rumors have been Pecos Builds is going to go away. So it's all been confirmed almost. The only thing that makes it doesn't make a lot of sense is you got Country Bears right there. I don't know how you make that part
and
of
they just updated
right.
it.
So I don't really know how you make that part of New Orleans, but again,
Right.
they could. But we'll see what they do on that front. But
Yeah.
you also have potentially Tortuga Tavern becoming a Pirates themed lounge.
Yeah, that's been a rumor, and they kind of alluded to that, and they're doing some construction there now.
I think they said it is going to happen. So I think we're going to get more details about that, which I think that's a great thing. I think that'll be a huge hit back there. Now,
they didn't say where, though. That was the thing. But we just assumed that it's going to be Tortuga Tavern.
You would almost have
I don't know
to.
where
They've
else
got a
would
lot
I
of
go.
space in Tortuga Tavern. It's not really a utilized spot, so it would make a lot of sense to put there.
Right now, it's kind of blocked off, and they've made it into like a merchandise location, but it's just temporary. So
I think more of these we've talked about before on the cruise ship. They're doing the Haunted Mansion bar. I think more of these would be a huge hit in the parks.
Oh my gosh,
so,
definitely.
Yeah. Next one we could talk about is a nighttime parade. That has been rumored for a while.
I think this is likely. I'm really hoping this is going to happen, but I actually think this is likely. Like, if this is going to be one of those panels that is not a ton of stuff that they announce, and like you said, shows and parades, I think this could be likely.
So I think this is basically pretty concrete that it'll happen because I think in the short term, they don't have whatever they announce in this on some level is a response to Epic Universe, but none of this is going to have an impact next year, obviously. The one thing that could, and the rumor and what I keep hearing is Disney is basically going to, not really having anything on that level, but as an answer somewhat to Epic Universe are parades and shows.
Yeah.
So I think them bringing in a nighttime parade, new shows, things like that, like meet and greets, I think this is what they're going to do to sort of try and get people to, like, again, I don't think you're going to get anybody that's like, oh, let's go to Epic Universe. Like, wait a minute, there's a parade at Magic Kingdom. But I think what they may do is say, while we're at Epic Universe, let's go check out that parade that they got going on Magic Kingdom. I think that may be the mindset with that. So I think a nighttime parade, it's something people have wanted for years.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And I think that the fan base would like it. And I think it's an easy win for them, and it's not going to cost them a lot of money, and they can turn it around pretty quick.
Yep.
So I think that'll probably happen.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the next one you got on the list here?
Stitch's Great Escape. Are we going to replace that with anything? We had talked about, I think it was a couple months ago, we had talked about the fact that it bumps up against cosmic rays and anti-gravities, and like you'd have to change some of those areas as well.
There's a rumor there's something about the structure of the building.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know if they'll actually do anything with this, or just going to be like flex space to use. I don't know. But it maybe they'll announce something.
You'd think at some point they would. It's been empty for a long time.
I want to say 6 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Long?
I mean, it's one of those, if they did have anything about this, I think this would be, if you wanted to talk about something being a blue sky idea, this could be one where they do a blue sky idea about this. Because I just don't think that it's going to be the thing that they're going to try and, I don't think it's high on their priority list. I'll put it that way.
Sure. I'm just hoping.
Yeah. No, they need to. I mean, I would say something needs to happen there. I mean, how long is it going to be empty before you put something that was in there? But and the last one that we have in Magic Kingdom would be, and this one I actually think has some credence, given that there was a patent for it recently filed. But Moana themed boat ride in Adventureland.
Yeah, they did that patent for it.
I did a video on the YouTube channel. Was they did file a patent for, it's a unique type of flume ride where basically you twist and turn on it to look at different set pieces. And if you look at the patent for it, it clearly looks like a Moana boat.
Okay.
I think this has some legs.
But where in Adventureland?
I don't know. I mean, the worst case scenario there, if they get rid of the tiki room.
Oh. I do not. I don't have enough room.
I don't know where it would go. Adventureland, theming wise, makes sense. I just don't know where you would put it in the space that you have utilized there.
Frontierland?
I mean, I guess this could be one of those things where it ends up in Animal Kingdom, which I think would probably fit there as well.
Okay. It
so
could, I guess.
Whether it's Adventureland or Animal Kingdom, personally, I just don't know where in Adventureland you would put it. But I think you do have plenty of space. You could find a spot for it over in Animal Kingdom. And that would work as well. But now, the thing is, a lot of people pointed out, why would, a lot of this stuff has been looking at Magic Kingdom. I think the reason they're gonna put a lot of effort and money into Magic Kingdom still, even though Magic Kingdom is the #1 visited theme park in the entire world, from a I guess, a market standpoint, Disney, whatever Epic Universe Impact has, they do not want that to affect Magic Kingdom. And I think if the numbers,
for sure.
I think they expect it to hit Animal Kingdom, probably the other parks as well. But if Magic Kingdom stays pat and they don't lose numbers on Magic Kingdom, I think for them, they're pretty happy with that. They'll never, I don't think they're going to come out and say this, but if they do see an impact to Magic Kingdom, that's a point in which Disney's like, oh no, that's not good. So I think bolstering their most popular park with more of these things. And again, if they did the Villains Land, like I think you would more than bolster. I think you would just, you're making your strongest park even stronger. That's why I think they're going to put quite a bit of the money into Magic Kingdom as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But just from a, how you're going to stand in the market. But the next park we'll talk about, which is the one where I think is going to get a lot of attention, which is Animal Kingdom. So obviously the Tropical Americas. I think we're going to get a lot of details about this.
Well, we know from Destination D23 last year that it will be an area that celebrates Encanto mostly, and Dinosaur is supposedly getting a Indiana Jones overlay. Not the one specifically to Temple of Forbidden Eye, not specifically like in Disneyland, but like a new story.
Yeah.
That's what we saw last year, and I think it's happening. I think it's going to happen.
They're definitely doing something.
They're doing something.
They've got permits filed. They've all but said this is happening.
Yep.
And Animal Kingdom, again, needs a lot of stuff. It needs more attractions, so they're desperately in need of more things to do. So I think this is something that would be a good addition. Now, I guess you could get into semantics about, like, does Encanto and Indiana Jones fit Animal Kingdom? I think, I don't know. In the current iteration of Disney, I think they'll definitely go out of their way to make things fit that maybe traditionally would not have.
Yeah.
But I do love Indiana Jones. Don't get me wrong. I will see how they do it. I just don't know on its face when they first presented it. I was like, Indiana Jones, but he is an archaeologist, so I guess you could go that route with it. But
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, he chases artifacts.
Right, yeah. It's not the most, like, it doesn't, in my head, make sense in Animal Kingdom completely, but I think it is happening on some level. So I think we'll get more details about that.
Okay.
Because they did have some water management permits that were filed for
this past spring.
Yeah, so.
Construction. Yeah, the trailers going back in there. Yeah.
Right. Now, one thing, and this is a rumor out there, and if you look at the Horizons poster, it is in there. You have like a Simba inside in the Tree of Life on that poster. There is a rumor about a Lion King attraction that would be coming to Animal Kingdom. Now, I don't know how much legs that has.
About that.
I think that would be almost on the same level as a Villains Land. I think it's silly to me that they don't have a Lion King like ride in Animal Kingdom. You can make an argument that Animal Kingdom wouldn't exist if it was not for Lion King's success.
Yeah.
So I think of any park, it fits the most there. So if it was me, I would do it. No, that's a rumor that's out there. I have no idea if that's something that they'll do, but I think if they did do it, I think that would be a really good thing. I think that would be a big draw, personally speaking.
Okay. And they also might do a Pandora expansion. They're talking about Pandora in Disneyland Forward, which, we're not talking about Disneyland today, but they could expand into Pandora, at least in the next 5 or 6, 20 years.
I mean, they're going to do 19 of these other movies, and James Cameron's going to live to be 250 years old to do them. But
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, given the fact that Disney now owns Pandora, technically, before it was not a thing where they owned, so it's likely. I mean, Pandora's a great land.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, they could do another ride back there for sure. And then you have, of course, they did announce that Zootopia was going to be where A Bug's Life is now, so they'll probably have more details about that.
Right.
And construction dates and things. I think a lot of this stuff in Animal Kingdom, you're going to get more solid dates on when is construction going to start.
Yeah,
all that
I think so too.
But I think that's all I've heard when it comes to Animal Kingdom, and that stuff's pretty. That, for the most part, outside the Lion King thing, the rest of that's pretty much. I wouldn't say in concrete, but it's pretty much going to happen more than likely.
Maybe Pandora. I don't know about that one. That one's more.
Well, sorry, the Pandora as well. We'll see, but for Disneyland for sure, I think it'll happen. But.
And Hollywood Studios, I don't think I have heard anything about Hollywood Studios. I don't think they're doing anything there.
I mean, I have a wish list.
Well,
I would love for them to retheme Galaxy's Edge to include all of the trilogies, all of the Star Wars trilogies.
That's not happening.
I think if they did do that, that would be something that would be, again, an easy win for them. But
they're not going to do that.
I think eventually they'll be forced to.
Yeah, but I mean, in the next 10 years, nah.
I bet you. I bet you within the next 10 years they do it.
Okay, deal. I'll bet you.
deal.
They will not.
Because
They will not change Galaxy's Edge in the next.
the
10
reason
years.
being, Star Wars as a brand continues to just tanking and tanking, and the only thing that people are gonna want to still see is the prequels and the original trilogy. That's what my thinking comes into when you have a land based on an IP on one segment of the IP only, which is the sequel trilogy, which most people, let's be honest, are rather indifferent to at best. I think you're going to be forced to. And again, why not just include all of it? Like learn from what Universal's done with the Wizarding World. Just immerse people into stuff they know. If you include the original trilogy in the prequels, that opens you up to a whole other group of people that want to come check this stuff out. From a theme park space, that makes the most sense. But we'll see.
Well,
We'll
I
see.
don't agree with this as being a hopeful announcement this week. It won't happen.
I don't think it's going to happen. I said a wish list.
Okay.
We'll move on to talk about Epcot. Now, Epcot just got done with his transformation quote, overhaul, but they do have Test Track, which they'll probably have more information about that because that is currently under construction.
Yeah, I think there'll be more concrete information. I don't think there's anything groundbreaking about that one, but yeah.
Yeah. And then I suppose, I don't think this is going to happen, but they could address or get information about things that we didn't get in the big transformation, which is like the Play Pavilion, Mary Poppins, Spaceship Earth revamp, all those things.
Maybe Figment.
I don't think that they're doing any of that.
I know.
I don't think I literally think you'll get
It's
a
so
little
sad.
bit about Test Track and that'll be it. I think they consider the Epcot overhaul to be done.
Yeah. I think you're right. I don't think they're gonna say anything about Epcot except for Test Track.
I think most
At least not this weekend.
right. I think most of the attention is going to be on Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
With the slight chance again that you could see something maybe. I think out of Epcot and Hollywood Studios, I think you're more likely to see something out of Hollywood Studios than you would be Epcot, considering they just got done with everything over there. But,
Yeah.
all right. Well, let's talk about. There is something on the hotel side we could see. So.
What about Galactic Star Cruiser? Will they do anything with that, Jared? Is that just defunct? Are we just bye-bye on that forever, or what do you think?
I don't know. They've hinted that they're not done with it, but I think the idea of it, I think the idea of that hotel could work, but I think the way which they did the first time obviously didn't work. If you do see anything with this, I think it could be like a dinner and a show type thing, which we had talked about. Like, why not just do that? But I suppose you could see that building get used for something. I suppose. Maybe dinner and a show or something along those lines, but I don't think you're going to be seeing another Galactic Star Cruiser hotel announced, put it that way.
Oh, no. No, I just meant like, are they going to do something with it? But
That's one they could have some sort of announcement about that, given they have hinted at it, but again, they may just be like whatever. Like
yeah.
they took the tax breaks on that one and maybe just moving on. But
Yeah.
now one that's interesting is kind of a later. This is happening the last little bit. Is that hotel that was supposed to be like the River Country, where the hotel was going to go into River Country Reflections.
A lakeside resort.
Right. So months
Yes.
ago, they had re-upped the permits for that. Like they were going to expire. They sort of re-upped them, and you were just sort of like,
But why?
okay.
Okay.
Apparently, there's some new permits that have been filed in that area, so it looks like that hotel could happen.
Yeah. So the permit that's been filed, it would be for work in the area, kind of in the, I don't know, just in like inlet, I guess, between where the end of the lakeside cabins are, like the Cascade cabins for Copper Creek, and like the land that kind of hits up against Fort Wilderness in the construction area, because the permit actually shows some of the addresses for what they're talking about. I forgot what the Wilderness Way or something is what it's called. And some of those addresses match what the other permit was for Reflections. So you're like, oh, so this is the same area you're talking about.
Right.
So that's why everyone's saying, okay, they're going to just redo Reflections. Only thing is the expiration date for the construction permit is for March of 2027. That's a pretty big, like that's a long time.
Yeah.
So that also is indicated like, okay, maybe it could be something and not just construction of Wilderness Lodge or something.
Yeah, I think they could announce this hotel's still going to happen, which I don't think we need any more DVC hotels, if I'm being quite honest. But
At least no more towers.
Well,
Stop with the towers.
I think
please.
what would be a bigger announcement that would be for, DVC obviously makes them money, but it's also a niche group of even the Disney people that are DVC owners. So outside of the DVC owners, like most people, like I don't think it moves the needle. I mean, we love Riviera and we've rented points and stuff like that to stay there before, but it doesn't move the needle versus, let's say, if they came out and said we're building a brand new value resort that's much on the level, like maybe like a value plus type of resort.
Yep.
I think that would be something that people could get really excited about, especially given
They could actually stay there.
they could actually, instead of just being these super expensive places, they could stay there. It has all these cool things. Like, I think that would go a long ways.
Let me ask you a question. We talked about this in Club 32 live stream last night. What do you think about, and I think you brought this up, do you think they'll ever take Grand Destino Tower at Coronado Springs and make it a DVC resort?
They could.
Like just the tower. I mean, they have just, the towers over at Polynesian, and like there's certain spaces of these resorts. And now that Fort Wilderness will be having the DVC cabins.
Right.
And they have the campground still. Like, who's to say they won't do that with other moderates like Coronado, where you have distinctly different tower in the middle of your resort? Why not just make that DVC?
I mean, they definitely could.
They definitely could.
It's a weird in that the tower is almost like a premier or a deluxe hotel, and the rest of the resort is moderate. The only thing about that one being it was built because Coronado is it's a convention hotel, and they were wanting a place where basically the higher ups wanted to stay at a nicer thing than just a moderate resort. I suppose that's the only thing that would work against it is that. But you also do have what is it over there? Swan and Dolphin, the new one they built.
Swan Reserve.
Swan Reserve is similar to that as well. Now that's not owned by Disney, but it's possible they could. I mean, I would not be shocked because even they've already done that on some of the resorts. But
yeah, I was just thinking about it.
Yeah, but no, I think something else other than DVC resorts would be a needle mover. But at this point, I haven't heard anything about it.
They're going to say
I don't have much hope for it.
Yeah.
And the next thing could be, Disney Springs has that drone show. Does that stay at Disney Springs? Or I think the logical thing would be that drone show moves over into Animal Kingdom.
Because right now it's supposed to end September 2nd. So is it going to still end at September 2nd? Are they going to extend its stay over at Disney Springs? Or like you said, move it over to Animal Kingdom?
I think it's such an easy, to me, it's a no-brainer. Just move it over to Animal Kingdom. Like, give it a nighttime show. Put it over there in the theater that's over the water, because drones, you don't want them over people.
Yep.
That thing's over water.
Yep.
It gives you a nighttime show to check out at Animal Kingdom, and then Animal Kingdom can be open actually at night, where you can take advantage of like Pandora and things like that at night. So I think it would be, I think it would be something that would be useful, but whether or not they will do that, I don't know. They may just leave it at Disney Springs. I don't know. Maybe they've seen an uptick in people buying stuff at Disney Springs, and who knows? If that's the case, they may leave it because more people are just at Disney Springs buying stuff.
Possibly.
But one would think that show would move on. And I guess the other one we could talk about, we don't think this is going to happen, but some people have predicted that Disney will have a 5th park announcement.
I don't think so.
I've said for a long time that they need to flush out their existing parks before they look at doing a 5th gate. And let's be honest. I mean, look at the current state of maintenance with the rides, and things have been pointed out about, like, some of the trash that's been in the parks. I think before you add another theme park that is a whole other layer of operations and staffing and all these things, I think you need to get those issues sorted out first before you start looking at adding on another theme park. Plus, if you think Disney's expensive now, once they add another gate, it's going to be way more expensive.
Yeah.
So I don't think they need it. Now, I think within the next 10 years, they could announce it. But again, even if they announced it at D23, I mean, that thing probably wouldn't be done for a decade at the rate in which Disney builds, which kind of goes into all this stuff they're announcing at D23. I think this is, a lot of this stuff, like obviously not all of this, but some of this stuff is going to be announced. I guess the question comes into, depending on what they announce, like how excited is the fan base going to be for it? And then really, like, especially looking at the Epcot, what they did with Communicore Hall and Communicore Plaza, I think until it's done and built, I think a lot of people are just going to look at it and go, okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to, look at what the things they didn't do versus the things that they did do and what it looked like versus the concept art. So I think at this point, Disney has a lot of things they have to prove to their audience that they're going to do the things they say they're going to do. And then how long does it take you to build it? Is it going to take you 3 to 5 years? Because I've said for a while, whatever they announce here, we're not going to see until closer to 2028.
Yeah.
At earliest, maybe.
Right.
So, and again, I think you're giving a lot of runway for Epic Universe, whether how big of a success that's going to be. That's a lot of runway to give them.
Yeah.
In terms of the impact it's going to have. So I think they'll have a lot of announcements. They could have some things on here we don't know about. I wouldn't be surprised about it.
There'll definitely be something we have no idea.
Yeah. But I think it really just comes down to is like, when do shovels hit the ground? How quickly are you going to be getting this done? And hopefully they do feel the pressure to not only announce these things, but to get them done quickly. And which again, I think
that's a big thing.
right. And I think competition is great for that reason. I don't think if it wasn't for Universal doing the stuff they're doing, they wouldn't feel this pressure to do these things. So I hope that they do feel that pressure and they do get this stuff built quickly. And, you know, listen, a good old theme park war, I'm good with. I'm fine with it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
What's the one that you would, everything we talked about, what's the one you would want to see the most personally?
Oh, personally? I mean, I've wanted a nighttime parade for years, so I would say that one, but also a Villain's Land.
I think Villain's Land.
I really do want that.
I think that one. I think that one would have the most impact. I really do.
Yeah.
Now,
at first, I was like, they're not going to do that, and I'm like, oh, they might. They might do it.
I think they should.
Yeah.
Now the one I'm not. If they do Cars Land back there, I'm not the most excited for that. I do love Cars. I think selfishly I think our son would love it. And I think that ride is something.
But he'll be 15 before it's done.
Enjoy this, son. He's like, I'm 26, Dad. Like,
Right.
I know. I remember
It's
back
true.
when you were young and they announced this ride. But
Right.
yeah, I think Villains would be, and again, I think that one would be the one that to me is the no-brainer to do, which means Disney probably won't do it.
Hey, now.
I shouldn't say that.
Hey, now.
Maybe, hey, prove me wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've got, they've had this rumor out there for years now about doing villain stuff. And, it's been they do villains themed after hours, different things. And those things have always been a big hit.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime they bring
Very
out villains
popular.
characters, there's always lines for, almost hours to see them.
Yeah.
So I think they know they're popular.
Yeah.
So.
But the panel happens this weekend on Saturday again. So, obviously tune into the mini live streams that will be happening across social media. So I'm sure you'll find one. Just go to TikTok. Literally. There'll be many. There'll be so many.
I would say don't do that. Because I might go live on YouTube.
Oh, I didn't know that. You didn't tell me that.
Right,
Okay.
I know. I didn't know you were going to promote in a whole other platform.
Okay. Jared might go live on YouTube.
Maybe. We'll see.
And if he does, where can you find him?
It'd be at Captain Magic. So
Yes.
if I just don't know, without them doing a live stream, I don't know where the information is going to come from and if it's going to make sense to do a live stream. So it's kind of up in the air. Obviously, I'll make some videos about it. We'll cover it on the show here. But if there is a steady stream of information coming in and there's someone on the ground reporting it, I'll do a live stream to talk about it probably because I think it'd be interesting. But I just don't know at this point without Disney doing a live stream, like how that information is going. I'm assuming like Scott Gustin's going to have tweets about it.
Oh, there'll be tweets all over the place.
Right.
Yep,
So,
you're fine. But at Captain Magic is where you can find him if he does a live stream. If not, he has a bunch of cool videos that he comes out with every day talking about Disney, talking about Universal, and all the theme parking, if you will.
The theme parking.
Theme
yes.
park.
Yes.
Theme parking with Jared.
I mean, you might join. I don't know if you want to come on to the live stream. If we do it, you can come on as well.
I might. It'll be late, but I will do it.
Yeah.
And then next Thursday, our show will basically be a lot of what they talk about for the announcements. So yes, we've done like a prep, like here's what we hope is announced, and next week is gonna be like, okay, here's what was announced.
You mean a D23 recap?
Recap, a download, if you will.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
A debriefing.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there's a lot of stuff to go over. And hopefully they give a lot of details to go over about it. I suppose the other story would be if they don't announce much, I imagine people are going to be very unhappy.
Revolt.
So either way, there'll be something to talk about there. But I believe that's going to do it for the show. Unless you got anything else you want to add about D23?
No.
Got nothing.
I got nothing.
All right. Well, that's it for the show here.
Okay.
So be sure to check us out on social media, though, at Cap the Magic everywhere except for TikTok. We were at Capture the Magic. Again, YouTube videos over at Cap the Magic, where it's just little 10, sometimes 20-minute videos just going over different topics and things like that. Also, the video versions of this show you can catch on YouTube over at CTM Podcast. You can also catch the other shows on the CTM network. We have the CTM Universal show, where we talk about Universal Studios, and that currently is twice a month. In our latest episode, we went over all the details that were announced about the Wizarding World Ministry of Magic coming to Epic Universe.
Yep.
And then once Epic Universe is open, or maybe leading up until the opening, that show will become a weekly show as well. That
Yeah.
will be enough content there to go over that. Jamie also has Trip Tales, which is her trip report show.
Yes, that my next episode will be on Tuesday. So my person is going to be traveling until Monday, I think morning, and so we'll be recording that on Monday night to put out on Tuesday. So it'll be a very quick turnaround there.
Okay.
But Tuesday, and then I'll have another one later in August too.
You get 2 for August.
CTMTripTales.com if you want to sign up to be a guest.
Or just go check out the episodes there as well.
Also
Yeah.
there.
That's the thing. Yeah, you go check out the website, capturethemagicpodcast.com. We have all the episodes that go up there. You can listen to them there. We have articles and everything like that. You can always go check it out there. I don't really promote the website much, but you can catch all the things there as
They're
well.
all there.
They're there.
Mhm.
And that will do it for the show. So
Okay.
if you want to check out shirts, ctmapparelco.com, and the candles are 1901candleco.com as well. But that'll do it for the show. So thank you, everybody, for listening and or watching. And thank you, Jamie, for joining us.
Thank you.
And as Jamie always likes to say,
We will see you in the parks.
bye.